Most people believe that earning more money will finally make them feel richer, that a higher income will automatically translate into security, confidence, and peace of mind. But behavioral economics shows something far more uncomfortable. For a large percentage of people, earning more money does not increase their sense of wealth. It often increases stress, pressure, and a persistent feeling of scarcity. People earn more, yet feel just as financially fragile as before. Sometimes even more so. This is not a budgeting issue. It is a psychological one. Modern behavioral science has repeatedly demonstrated that the human brain does not experience money in objective terms. It experiences money emotionally, relatively, and socially. And once you understand how these mechanisms work together, you begin to see why income growth so often fails to deliver the emotional payoff people expect. One of the foundational concepts explaining this phenomenon comes from psychology research in the early 1970s. Psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell introduced the concept known as hedonic adaptation. Their research showed that humans quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness after both positive and negative life events. Whether people experienced significant gains or devastating losses, their emotional state tended to normalize over time. This was later demonstrated in studies involving lottery winners. Winners reported extreme happiness shortly after winning, but within months their emotional baseline returned close to where it was before. The brain adapted. What once felt extraordinary became familiar. Income follows the same psychological pattern. A raise initially feels empowering, but the nervous system rapidly recalibrates. The new income becomes the new normal. This is why salary increases rarely fail, because they are too small. They fail because the brain updates its reference point almost immediately. The psychological meaning of money is relative to expectations, not absolute numbers. Once expectations rise, satisfaction dissolves. But hedonic adaptation alone does not fully explain why people often feel poorer as they earn more. The deeper mechanism comes from economics. James Dusenberry introduced the relative income hypothesis, which argues that people evaluate their income not in isolation, but in comparison to others. In simple terms, wealth is not experienced as how much you earn, but where you stand. You do not feel rich because your income increased. You feel rich only if your income increases relative to the people around you. And this is where the psychological trap becomes almost unavoidable. As income rises, so does the reference group. Higher earners do not compare themselves to their past. They compare themselves to their new peers. A promotion doesn't just change your salary, it changes your environment. Your colleagues earn more. Your neighborhood shifts. Your lifestyle standards rise. And suddenly, the same income increase that once felt impressive now feels merely adequate. The comparison resets. This mechanism was formalized in psychology through social comparison theory, introduced by Leon Festinger in 1954. Festinger demonstrated that humans have an innate drive to evaluate themselves by comparing to others. Crucially, these comparisons are predominantly upward. People measure themselves against those slightly ahead, not those behind. This creates a paradox. A higher income does not move you closer to satisfaction. It often moves you closer to people who earn even more. Your material conditions improve, but your psychological distance to perceived success does not. In fact, it can shrink, making inadequacy feel closer and more personal. This is why lifestyle upgrades feel natural and even necessary. But psychologically, they reinforce comparison rather than fulfillment. The upgraded car, home, or social circle does not signal arrival. It signals entry into a more competitive hierarchy. At this point, another critical concept from behavioral economics enters the picture. Prospect theory, developed by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, shows that humans experience losses approximately twice as strongly as gains. The brain is far more sensitive to what it lacks than to what it has gained. So even as income rises, attention shifts toward what is still missing. What others have that you do not. What level you have not yet reached. The emotional system interprets this gap as loss of status, and loss triggers anxiety, vigilance, and dissatisfaction. This explains why individuals with objectively high incomes often report feeling financially insecure. Their material needs may be met, but their psychological position has not improved. The brain does not register abundance. It registers instability and relative standing. The nervous system evolved to prioritize status and predictability because, historically, these determined survival. Modern income triggers the same ancient mechanisms. When relative position feels uncertain, the body reacts with stress regardless of absolute comfort. This leads to one of the most persistent myths about money: the belief that more income creates emotional security. Behavioral science shows that income growth does not deliver security. It resets expectations and amplifies comparison. Money changes the scoreboard, but the game remains social. Lifestyle inflation feels rational because it maintains alignment with one's environment. But alignment is not satisfaction. Over time, this creates a quiet psychological cost. Higher income narrows tolerance for loss. Fixed costs rise. Emotional dependence on earnings increases. What was meant to buy freedom begins to demand constant maintenance. Those who escape this cycle do not necessarily earn less. They restructure perception. They consciously weaken the link between identity and social comparison. Research consistently shows that autonomy, control, and predictability contribute more to long-term well-being than income beyond a certain threshold. This is not about frugality or denying pleasure. It is about understanding that wealth is experienced psychologically before it is experienced financially. Without managing perception, income alone cannot create security. Feeling poor while earning more is not a personal flaw. It is a predictable outcome of human psychology, documented across decades of research. Once this is understood, the pursuit of numbers loses its emotional authority. Wealth becomes less about accumulation and more about psychological design. This is the psychology of wealth.